Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And it's Jeanine, Brad, and Ronan today. And we haven't a clue what we're going to talk about. I'm joking. Of course, we do have a clue. We're not quite sure what we're going to say about it, but we know we're going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about never rely on one of anything. And we're going to talk about that in the context of one of anything. And then we're going to talk about it in the context of your marketing. So, Brad, I've been a great believer in never relying on one of anything because a mentor coach told me that a long time ago. And when I look back on it, I can argue that maybe it should have been one of something rather than a number of things. So, what's your opinion?
Wow. That's the best question you've ever asked me.
He didn't even lead you. He didn't even give you the answer when asking the question this time.
Incredible. I'll answer it in terms of marketing to begin with, because I think that's the easiest, because we're talking about marketing. So in the past, I've had a rather developed marketing strategy. It used to take me, a good few hours every month to be able to strategize and get the plan together, and take me multiple hours to actually then deploy said plan. As time has gone on, and I suppose I've become more, consciously competent, subconsciously competent at doing those tasks, then the marketing plan's changed, and now it's much more simpler. So now the vast majority of the marketing plan is Facebook ads. That's like 90% of what we do. So if it's 90% of something, then, there's an argument to say that that's one. If it's greater than 90, it's probably I'm just doing one thing. Now, I have spread my risk in the sense that, I'm doing boudoir ads, I'm doing couples ads, and I'm also photographing pets. So there's some, I suppose, risk spreading in terms of what genre I'm photographing there. But I am mostly relying on Facebook ads. The other 10% is some stands that we still operate. So we still operate some stands that they're at, local fairs or wedding shows or things like that bring in normally a bulk of clients in one go, or a bulk of leads and then turn to clients throughout the year. And then a few little corporate partnerships or alliances we've had, and they tend to come and go. And we've recently gotten or stopped working with one just because it wasn't the right client avatar they were bringing into our business. When we set that up years ago, we didn't think, I didn't really plan it for client avatar. I just, it's a wedding dress shop. They're selling wedding dresses. Why wouldn't they want a boudoir experience? And most of them did, but most of them were younger brides that didn't directly fit our client avatar, our age demographic. So then it was a different product we were giving them as opposed to the normal product we were used to giving. So then it just didn't make sense. We were better serving our avatar than a different avatar.
So how do you sleep at night, Brad? Because we've all heard those horror stories of the marketeers who relied on Google, and then Google upgraded to Penguin, I think it was, the algorithms at the time, and they were literally wiped out overnight. So, you're a strategist, you're a planner, you've thought about that risk. So what's plan B if that does happen? Or have you come to a conclusion that, okay, I'm going to have a plan B, but the likelihood of it happening is so low, I'm not going to worry about it too much? Like, what are you thinking?
That's a fantastic question. So I sleep incredibly now. Years ago, terrible, terrible, especially Sunday nights. Monday still is the most important day of the week, but I used to get real, Monday jitters. And I used to be awake on Sunday because on Sunday night, because I knew how important Monday had to be to set the week up. And I knew that if I wanted to deliver on my 5-year vision plan, my year, my month, my week, then Monday was the most important day. So I was didn't sleep well on Sunday nights getting into Monday because I was just thinking about everything that I had to do. But now I'm far more relaxed. And I think I'm far more relaxed because my skill set's grown, so my knowledge has grown. So I've had just those nightmare moments. I think a lot of our members have them as well. It's why I spend a lot of time talking members down when their ads go bad, and they might have a bad day, week, month of bookings, because I've had all of that and I thought the world was ending. And then that put me into doing overwhelming action, which at the time was, booking more stands, marketing in the past. So I would book loads of stands. A really great thing I used to do was I manually created a list of all the local primary schools and private schools in Barnsley, Wakefield, Sheffield. There was hundreds. It took me a couple of days to create the list. Once I had the list, I would send them out a voucher twice a year. So I would send them out a voucher. They'd have a cover letter. I had a proper gift certificate with a letter inside. And it would be, here's a gift certificate to use and to raffle off. And I'd send it twice a year in summer and winter, because I used to always know that they do fundraising in the summer and in the winter for most of these schools. I'd send hundreds of them out and I'd get like a 20% conversion. So that stemmed from me wanting to have cover, and that stemmed from ads not working. So I had to find something to fix it. And that was something that I thought of to fix. So when they didn't go well, I would scramble and I would throw in action. So I know that if they didn't, when I'd started to kind of teeter off or just Facebook went dead overnight, then I'd just throw tremendous action into doing something else that previously worked really well. I suppose I'm comfortable with my ability to be able to, and my team's ability to be able to go in and do that, and do it really well. And probably the reason why we're not doing it now is it's the time seesaw. It's, I have cash, I can spend cash on Facebook to get the return in, or do I spend that cash doing something else that might not be yet proven to work? Or does it just go to Facebook? And right now it always just goes to Facebook. So yeah, there's a mentor I have that some of his advice he gave me, and this was years ago. He didn't really give it me directly. He was just giving it to the group of us at the time. Is when you have something that works, milk it until it doesn't. And ideally, if I'd have had that advice 10 years ago, then I probably wouldn't be here, because I was really hesitant with all my early Facebook stuff. If I'd have really, really double, triple down on it, then we'd have had far more success. So when something works, use it, abuse it, get the absolute highest return you possibly can out of it. And then when it starts to teeter off and start to drip off, that's when you go and look at getting something else to fill those gaps. And currently for me, like, Facebook's not really teetering off. It's still providing a consistent stream of leads and clients into the studio without me having to, run around like a headless chicken.
All right. So Jeanine, same question to you. So, where are you on this? One of something.
So it's an interesting question. And a lot of what we do parallels Brad's journey. And then some of it's a little bit divergent. So the majority of our new clients, right? So brand new clients, we're not 90%, but I would say 70% come from our Facebook ads. That's really where we go to now. And we really work on our social media, and we do it in conjunction with ads and the posts that go along with it on Instagram that match our ad. We have things going back and forth on both. But we really utilize that strategy as our main source of new business. The rest of our new business comes from our volume work. So we have a lot of school contracts. And so we do a lot of volume photography too. It's the other portion of our business. And so we work on converting our volume clients to studio clients. And so that's the other part of our new source of clients. And it's not new because we photograph them, but we photograph them in a volume setting and we're converting them into a studio client. And then referrals. And we're working on trying to vamp that up a little bit more now and kind of rejuvenate it and give it some new life, because it's kind of petered out and died out a little bit because we haven't really thought about it much. But yeah, back in the day, oh my gosh, I was like, Brad, we had so many ways of getting new business in. I did a ton of networking. I spent my life networking, and it's tiring. Oh my gosh, it's so tiring. I mean, I was up for all these morning breakfast meetings, and I would go out late at night to do other meetings and lunch meetings. And if you want to, you can network 100% of the time, and be out and about in the community. And my extroverted social self kind of liked it, and I found myself enjoying doing that. But then I don't find it to be actually very productive. You spend so much more time than the return that you get And, you know, as my family, like as my kids started getting older, I wanted to spend, like, their activities start to grow, and Brad's going to see this, right? Their activities start to take your time. And so it's a matter of choosing, gee, do I go to my daughter's swim event on a Saturday, or do I go to a Rotary charity function? I'm going to choose my daughter's swim event, you know? And so when you get to the point where you can start paying to get your new clients, as opposed to pounding the pavement to get your new clients, and you have that ability to put the money towards it, I would choose that, because you get your time back and you can spend that time with your family. And so it's an interesting place that we went from, I had to do that because I had no money in the business for marketing, to getting the money for the business and marketing. And now when I need new clients, we turn on different ads, come up with different promotions that we can do. So my brain now goes to, how can I run a different promotion for Facebook, and getting leads in that way. And it could be, I'm not like Brad, where I have 3 unique genres. Most everything we do is child based. But even within that, there's different, like we're working on a quinceañera promotion, right? Because, and we have a huge Hispanic clientele and population here in Tampa, and they celebrate the 15th birthdays for their daughters. Right. And so we've recently photographed some samples of that, and we're going to work on a promotion to work on that and get those portraits in. But it still it might be a different genre because we haven't really done it, but it's still child-based, just older children, you know? So I don't see us necessarily adding in boudoir and some of those other completely different genres. I'm looking for niches more within the clients that we serve to give ideas to them on something that they might want to do that they hadn't thought of. Does that make sense? So like we're always looking for that on how can we get a new idea out there, that they might not have thought of that. But once they see it, they're like, ooh, let's do that, you know? And that's where my marketing brain kind of goes, but it all really goes to Facebook, online marketing, doing my Facebook ads, emailing our existing clients clearly. But that's getting clients back. That's not new clients, right? I always take my promotions to our existing client database to get them to come back in, because it's much easier and cheaper to get your existing clients to come back than to get new ones. But as far as our source for new business into the studio, 70% Facebook, and then the rest, like I said, the other avenues.
So this is what I'm hearing, right? Because often when people talk about don't rely on one of anything, I think what they really mean is be aware you can't rely on one of anything. And both of you have said that to me, in that you've done other marketing in the past. To get back to Brad's point, you know, Facebook's working so well that you're going to milk it for as long as it does, but you know you can turn on something else if you need to, or that there'll be another opportunity if you need to, and you're prepared in a plan, either written down or in your head, that you can make that change. So here I have a question for you, for those who think, you know, you need to be doing a million things at once so you're not relying on one of anything. Where are you on this, you know, doing more than one of anything and the power of focus? What's your opinion on that, Brad?
Years ago, another reason why we focused so heavily on Facebook was because I'd always calculate out the ROI, the return on invested. So I always look at what's been spent on the ad, what's been returned, you know, and then look at that as a percentage. And then when other opportunities came for marketing came about, and I'd sit down with my dad and we'd discuss it, you know, his answer was always the same: just run a Facebook ad. Or can we just spend more money on Facebook? Because judging it compared to it, it's like, do we really think, you know, running this £500 promotion in the newspaper is really going to, you know, do we really think this £500 door drop? Do we really think sponsoring this event is going to get us as much as this? And the answer was it wasn't. And we knew that. So then we'd always heavily focus into Facebook. And then through focusing so heavily on Facebook, it's led me to the point where, you know, I suppose other people would consider me an expert in the space on teaching people how to use it, and how to deliver it to photographers. So there's definitely advantage there, and there's definitely focus. I suppose you have to, you know, if you focus on anything, you'll be successful at it. You'll be successful at it. But I suppose focusing on the key thing is what really matters. And you have to choose the method that's going to get you what you want the fastest. And for me, that was always ads. That was Facebook ads. So for me, it was really easy to choose to focus on that. If I didn't focus on it so hard, I wouldn't have had as much success.
So Jeanine, I want to talk to you about, the power of focusing on Facebook as much as you do, the other benefits that may be there. So it appears to me that Facebook marketing is a great way to build a list of potential clients. That yes, we talk about the top of funnel, so the clients who are ready to buy today with our Facebook ads. But can you just talk to us about your experience of people who don't decide to book you at top of funnel? Have you seen those people over time, because you're in constant contact through your nurturing email, that they become a client? Or have you anything on that?
There is, there's a lot to be said for owning your marketing database, right? And so one of the huge benefits of building your email list, and when you do run a Facebook ad and you bring someone into your world, they have subscribed into your email list, your newsletter list, and they can unsubscribe, of course, but they are now in your world, and you have the ability to email them and nurture them. And so, yeah, we have our email list grew fast once we started marketing via Facebook, because, you run an ad, you get 30 to 40 leads per, in a said time frame, whereas you might book 10% of them. Right. So maybe you book 3 to 5. The rest of them all go into your email list. And so we send out nurturing emails throughout the year. We try and do it monthly, different stories, different things happening, give a little bit to the clients. And then we always send out first to our email list any new promotion we have, like we have one going on right now. It went out last night for football family photos. Right. And so it goes out to our email list, and then it'll go out on Facebook and things like that. So I might not run an ad for that, because I might not need to, right? I have an email list of people. We have this idea, come take some fun football photos in your jerseys and get ready for the start of football season. And that's our American football, not your soccer. So I have the ability, because I've built up that, and they built up that email list, and I own those. I don't know if that's the right word, but they're mine. I can mark. I don't need another platform. I don't need Facebook. I don't need Google. I have them. I have those email addresses. I can run a promotion, email it to them. I've already done the work once to pay for their email to come into my world. And now I can promote different things in addition to the story. So yeah, we do have to answer. That was a really long way to answer your question, Ronan. We do have people who book later, right? So they might have filled out an ad for something that was, and this is why I love it. They might have filled out an ad for like our first birthday portraits and realized that they were probably going to spend $1,500 to $2,000 to come in and do that. And they didn't have the budget for it at that point in time. But then they see one of our ads for something like this, which is going to be way less, a couple $100. And they're like, you know what, we'll come in and do that, or Halloween or Christmas, something else that we do. They'll see that, they'll come in, it's less. Then they realize the fun that they have at the studio, and the value of what they're receiving for that money, the memories, the experience they have, all of the fun that they have at the studio with their children. Realize it's not necessarily what they were just thinking as far as price goes. And then they come back for another session. And then they'll come back for like a family or another birthday for their child, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times we'll get them in. They don't book at the higher priced item that we were originally doing, but then they stay in our world for a while, and they see everything that we're doing, and then they come in for something less, and then end up booking to something more.
So when we talk about this, this strategy of one for marketing, you're not really relying on a strategy of one, even though maybe for new lead generation you are. But once you have the leads, then you have other marketing going on to encourage those people to come in, because not everyone's going to be ready, as we say, at top of funnel, on that day to come in, and there's a great story that somebody told me around this, a photographer once, where they had a campaign for high school seniors, and they knew that they were generating leads from mums whose daughter or son wouldn't be a high school senior for 1 or 2 years. So no matter what they did, they're not ready now, right? But it gave them an opportunity to, yes, those who are a high school senior in that year, to close the deal, right, and get them in for their experience. But it also gave them an opportunity to nurture those mums who put their hands up early, so that when it is time for their son or daughter, that they've seen the client stories in the nurturing emails, so they're not going to consider anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And it keeps you connected so that when they are ready, you're the first person they think of.
Yeah, I still have this question of, so here's my strategic analysis of Facebook, right? As a source is, if obviously they rely on their money from advertising, right? The only fear I see is if they decide they don't want us anymore, that they only want the Coca-Colas or the big brands, who are spending multiple millions per year with them, maybe even tens of millions with them. And they don't want small business for some reason, hopefully you don't make that decision, but there must be a risk there somewhere, Brad, that could end up there.
Yeah, 100%. I doubt it, just from historic use of platform, because obviously Facebook's essentially like an online auction house. You bid for placement. Obviously, these big brands can spend billions. They're already spending far more money than I could ever dream of spending, and yet I'm still spending money and getting a return. And that return is still as good, as it is today as what it used to be. Now, I used to get leads far cheaper, but I'm getting a higher return value from those clients that are coming in now. So now the return's higher only because I've grown other aspects of my business. So that's something to keep in mind, is that, as you use Facebook, the platform's always going to change, always going to get more expensive as more people go onto the platform. I've seen that in 10 years. I've seen lead costs go up from, literally like 50 pence to a pound for running like register win style ads, up to like 8 to, they range from like 8 to 12 pounds. So we'll call it 10. So that's like a 10 to 20x increase in my cost per lead, but my return value from those clients is much higher. And I'm not that overly worried about that. As long as I can, it's still a space where I can operate my business. In another 10 years, if the price 10x, then perhaps, but for that price to 10x, for the amount of people to flood onto Facebook and start using it as an advertising platform, I think that's less likely. Because there's already, it feels like every brand is currently advertising on Facebook as is. And especially during election events, especially the US election, like, the Facebook platform is so filled with ads during that period of time that, ad cost does increase, but it's still effective. Still effective for me, still effective for members. It's just, it's more of a nuisance to handle just because there's that much more advertising happening.
So you mentioned something there, Brad, and it's a little bit off the topic of the podcast, but I think it's interesting. You said that, when you have any strategy for marketing, the likely thing is that the costs will go up. So you obviously had a strategy then to increase the amount of money your clients spend with you because you were aware of that.
Yes. I was always checking, return on invested, what our average client was spending, what the cost of booking was, and then what's that as a percentage, what's our marketing cost as a percentage of business revenue. And I always knew that, it made more sense strategically to increase average client spend than to decrease our cost of marketing. Because I, for a brief period of time, went down the route of trying to decrease spend. It just drives you insane. This is at the time where I was getting like £2 leads and I was trying to get them down to £1. And most like why I'd spend thousands to be able to get £2 leads again. But it's always focused on where the value is or where the value add is, and adding value is easier to do than trying to get something cheaper.
So Janine, let's bring this conversation beyond marketing just for the last couple of minutes of the podcast, right? So I have a question for you, Janine. When should you always go beyond one in anything in life?
When should you always go beyond one?
Yeah. So when should you always, like, is there a scenario in life that you should never, ever, 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 think it's about one? That your strategy is, I'm just going to concentrate on one of something.
Picking my ice cream flavors. I always like getting 2 scoops of different flavors in my cone.
There you go. So your ice cream, let's never focus in on one. Same question for you, Brad. When should you, definitely not just focus in on the power of one?
I'm disgusted that you let 2 different ice cream flavors touch.
Oh, no, it's fabulous. Chocolate and peanut butter, mint and chocolate. There's so many complementary flavors.
Mint
Vanilla and
chocolate's
strawberry.
one flavor.
No.
Mint chocolate's one flavor. You can't. You're
going to pay for 2 scoops, maximize your diversity, and get 2 different flavors.
Well, when I do ice cream, it'll be just vanilla. This idea of mixing 2 ice creams, I agree with you, Brad. I don't say that.
It's wild, right? I can't believe you'd let 2 different flavors touch.
It's only my son. His plate, everything has to never touch. He doesn't do casseroles either because he doesn't like the idea of mixed ingredients.
I like mixing them myself. I don't want them pre-mixed. I'm the mixer. I make those decisions. So houses, Ronan, is mine. Always buy more than one. Get many.
So we all know you're a property investor, Brad. So tell us about the strategy with that. So though, if we take one of something, right? So I'm a property developer and I have multiple houses, right? So would you put them in one location, or would you say, no, I'm never going to have them all in one location?
No, so all of mine, bar like 1, 2, are in Barnes Town Centre, or within essentially 1.5 miles of the studio. Well, probably closer, probably half a mile to a mile of the studio. And at the time, that was a strategic choice. I was contemplating buying elsewhere in the country for higher returns. But ultimately, I got advice that said buy in your area and become an expert of your area. So I did that. Now, I don't have more than one on the same street. Now, that's not been a strategic decision. I've tried multiple times, but the deals never happened. I would love to own a street, but I also see the just like strategic catastrophe of owning said street at the same time. And something disastrous could go wrong, and they all go. I think that's more ego than anything. But yeah, they're all close, but they're not. They are still separated, so they're not really close together. I've got different styles of property as well, from commercial to residential, terrace to flats to like detached buildings as well. So I've got diversification in the portfolio, but the main goal of the portfolio has always been cash flow. So that's my one. The thing that I focused on was always cash flow. Focused on cash flow. If the house can cash flow and it can cash flow under high stress situations, then it's a good investment, and I can forget about everything else.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I have this internal battle myself, always with this one thing. And the lens that I have the battle with is focus, So, I'm one of these people, even in business, that I look at, is there a different channel, or do we have a core capability that can service a market that's totally unrelated, or stuff like that, and we've done that in our business, but the sacrifice for that is focus, I think, so it's an interesting one. All right, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. What do I mean hope? Of course you've enjoyed this podcast when we talk about ice cream and mixing ice cream flavors and all that good stuff. If you want more of the knowledge from the mentor team, and we're missing Jonathan and Steve today, but if you want more of the power of 5, make sure you click on the link below and book that call with us, where you can have a chat with us to see how we can help you get to your next level of success with your business. All you have to do is click the link, book the call. It doesn't cost you any money, but a little bit of time. We'd have a conversation, and we will have a conversation about how you can reach your desired level of success. So until the next podcast, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.